morning, and thank you everyone for coming. We're going to keep this really brief and informal because I'm just the warm-up band for the poets. And I think it's great that to get to this library, you have to walk through our mammal hall and our bird halls. I can't think of any other library that has such a great walk-up. So that's really fun. I want to acknowledge a special guest we have with us today, Elsie Snedden, who kindly brought her mom, Councilmember Kristen Snedden. So welcome, glad to have you here. So when you get this book today, you'll be able to read in the introduction how this all came to pass. And it's a great little story. Today's the culmination of what began almost 3 years ago with a casual conversation between Sojourner and myself about this crazy idea of bringing poetry into the life of the museum during our centennial year. Well, of course, all the poets laureate that were still living here in Santa Barbara wanted to be part of that, and so that casual conversation turned into a year-long Poet in Residence program. And then we went a step further, and we wanted to memorialize all the work that had been written in this book, which we titled Moving Forward, Looking Back, which is the title of the centennial year poem that Sojourner wrote for us, which is contained herein. So it's really a wonderful story of what happens when you unleash creativity. You never know what good places it's going to take you to. So I want to thank the poets, Sojourner, Paul, Perie, Chryss and David Starkey couldn't be with us today, but they send their regards. We also have two other really special contributors to the book. Stacey Byers did all the portraits, and Gary Robinson provided all the photos of the museum's grounds that you'll see in the book. Just beautiful photography, guys. Thank you. Took a lot of staff to put this all together. Ron Skinner, who was our community education manager, he jumped right on board and ran the Poet in Residence program. And then Stephanie Coleman took over for Ron when Ron left the museum. Terry Sheridan, our librarian, provided a home and an office here in the library for all of our poets. And you notice they all have name tags because we made them staff for life. Peggy Dahl did the amazing design and layout for the book, which is just gorgeous. Melissa Batha helped us find funding so that we could actually publish this book. We had some very generous financial supporters. Nancy Gifford, who many of you know, and of course, Mari Curley, a force of nature at Chaucer's Books, provided the funding to support our having the poets. And then the City of Santa Barbara's Office of Arts and Culture, the County of Santa Barbara, and Santa Barbara Beautiful, who's represented by their president, Jacqueline Dyson, provided the funding for us to actually do this. So you all are going to walk away with copies of the book. But because of the generosity of Santa Barbara Beautiful and the Office of Arts and Culture, a copy of this book is going to be in every library in Santa Barbara Unified School District, from elementary up through high school. The Santa Barbara Library will have a copy at both their branches. City College will have a copy in their library. And then, of course, copies go to the Office of Arts and Culture. They go to the mayor's office, Santa Barbara Beautiful, and we'll have copies in the store for sale. So this is the book, and I now would like to ask each of the three poets have agreed to read a poem for us, which is really cool. So I'd like to start with Perie, if that's okay, and then Paul, and we'll end with Sojourner, who started this all off so many months ago. Perie?
Thank you. Well, we were asked to read a short poem, and so I have a very short poem, and it's in the book. And it was the first poem I wrote. When we first moved to Santa Barbara back in 1969, I was expecting, my first child, and then when he got a little older, then I had my daughter, and we would come to the Natural History Museum frequently. And so when we started this program, I remembered, and my daughter, when she was 2, couldn't pronounce Natural History Museum. So she said Hastamu Histamu. And to this day, we call it Hastamu Histamu. So I told her this morning, and she's now 42, I'm going to the Hastamu Histamu. And I invited her, but she had to go to work. So Hastamu Histamu is how my daughter, age 2, pronounced the Natural History Museum, where she could see the fluttering family ghosts, and where her older brother pronounced there were 2 kinds of animals, those who bite and those who don't. Memory fresh as yesterday, embraced in a circle of oaks, I am reminded here is where the home of what lasts over generations begins.
Thanks, Perie and Luke, and for all who contributed to this wonderful project. I found visiting the museum during my residency just a place of quiet, and would walk around expectantly, didn't know what would emerge. I think I'll read a very short poem based on an exhibit next to the planetarium. You remember, you're sort of in the dark there, and there's a moving diorama of a 3D version of the solar system. These little planets moving around in the dark, just fascinating. This poem's called Solar System. Round and round 6 planets go, the ones we can see, the one we are on. Mercury racing, swift of foot, Venus orbiting behind. Earth respectful, 3rd in line, and Mars taking its martial time. Jupiter giant and sedate, and Saturn ringed, resting as far as I can know. And the sun, that crackling ball of flame, the cynosure of all the rest, all of the planets circling the fire to get out of the smoke, to find a log on which to sit in a rustic row, cooling their heels in the emptiness of that dark forest, that sable field.
I can already tell you how much I love this book. Anyway, I'm going to read just the ending part of the centennial poem. This place, more than a museum, a place of honor, for every limb and leaf on an autumn tree, an ancient tree, for every moth emerging from a striped cocoon, nostalgia causes us to pause, remembering the turtles in their shallow ponds. Everywhere they huddled, a certain longing endures. In the beginning, the bird eggs, 100 years the condor reigned. The snake, 85 years and still rattling, feed me, feed me, feed me. Now begins the reign of the blue whale, 33 years in waiting, a new companion in the wings, a new dance of embrace. The ocean, our ballroom, the island, our bleachers, the sky, our witness, and we are the students. We learn rock by rock, fossil by fossil, skeleton by skeleton. Looking back, we move forward, commencing the centennial.
Well, thank you each for sharing your words. I mean, it's amazing poetry. So fragile, so powerful.
Virtual hug.
I can't think of a more enduring gift to this museum, so thank you. And now your books. Dr. Willis?
Is the mic still on? Because I came up to read a poem, but I didn't make a comment. And I have the mic.
It's open mic.
Okay, well, I want to say, first of all, thank you, Luke. Thank you to Luke Sweatland, because such a visionary and such a gift to Santa Barbara that he came to be here to be the head of this museum.
Thank you.
And such credentials that Luke brings with him. He is first and foremost, like many of us in our hearts, a librarian. And so I want to applaud you for being a great carekeeper for our words, carekeeper. And I also, just all of the things that have happened in the museum, it's such an honor to be here for a year. I feel like it's home. And for you to include us poets as a part of it, and also to give homage to the founder of this museum, Caroline Hazen, who was herself a poet, one of the founders. And so I feel this is a home for poetry, and I think that what we have created in the process and with this book that will be an everlasting treasure, I think that we have really established the museum, or the poetry and poets at the museum, as it should be. And so I want to thank you for for having that idea, and thank you for saying yes to all that we proposed, and thank you for supporting us in such a great way. Thank you.